Hello, my name's Christine Harrop-Griffiths and I'm the Programme Leader for the Business Management degree here at the University of Derby. Delighted to be able to talk to you today about the business offering that we have here at Derby. First of all, I just need to read this disclaimer, so bear with me for a moment, please. This presentation is correct at the time of delivery, which is April 2020, and is subject to change. We review the content of our courses regularly, making changes where necessary to improve your experience and graduate prospects. For the latest information, please visit our website www.derby.ac.uk. So, why would you choose the University of Derby to study business and management? Now, obviously, I think it's the best place for you to study, but you might think, well, she would say that, wouldn't she? However, it's not just my personal opinion. The screen that we're looking at the moment shows how we have ranked in completely independent surveys of all universities in the country. And we're particularly proud of some of the rankings that we've attained just lately. I could direct you to a few of them. Derby is in the top 30 of all UK universities. Now there are something like over 120 universities in the country, so that's really, really good. And something that we're particularly proud of is that the business and management courses at Derby were last year ranked in the top 10, number 10. This year we're actually increased to number 9. Now again, that is out of over 120 places in the whole of the country. So as I say, it's not just me saying that, this is independently verified. You may have heard of the Teaching Excellence Framework, which we call TEF. Now this is a government-run, again, independent scheme whereby all universities are assessed for their teaching quality. And there are 3 rankings, basically gold, silver and bronze. And we were delighted at Derby that we came out as TEF Gold. So another independent measure of how good we are. The business studies course last year achieved 100% student satisfaction. So all in all, we are a very, very good place to come and study business and management, not just because I'm saying so, but because of independent verification. Now, what do we do here? We make a real effort to make any business course not just academically rigorous, which you would expect, but business is not a boring, solid subject. It's a moving beast. It changes all the time. You have to be ready to adapt. You have to be ready to change. You have to be ready to innovate. And we have tried really hard to make the courses that we offer as flexible, as evidence-based, as lifelike as we possibly can. We don't just rely purely on academic textbooks. So as far as possible, we use real life projects to actually inform the teaching. We try and replicate as much as we possibly can the real experience that you would have in a business. So that we find makes our graduates much more employable, because they're not going into a business with just theoretical knowledge. They've obviously got the theoretical knowledge, but because of the way we teach and the way that we always try and make the curriculum reflect current issues and use real life organisations, they're much more adaptable and able to hit the ground running, so to speak. As you'll see shortly as well, we have made it our mission to not only deliver a very, very sound degree, but to link with as many professional bodies as possible and to inform all our teaching with research, including that of our own lecturers. Now, this business management degree doesn't just run at Derby. It runs across the world at various collaborative partners. It's currently running in Kuala Lumpur, in Athens, Thessaloniki, Barcelona, Munich, and we have a partner in London. And something that we've introduced over the last couple of years, which has been extremely popular, is we have done student exchange with our partners in Athens and Barcelona. Now, this is open to all second year business management students. So some of our second year students go to either Athens or Barcelona for a week and sit in classes there, which they can because they're taught in English and they're teaching exactly the same as we teach here. And some of the students from Barcelona and Athens come over here. It's a very, very valuable experience. Don't lose out on any teaching because it's the same degree, but obviously you get to look around Barcelona, go to various industries out there, or Athens, talk to students out there, compare teaching styles, compare experiences. It's been very, very useful. We have student competitions, we encourage you to go to conferences, and obviously we have guest lectures. But we're not just narrowly focused in Derby. As I say, it's got a strong international focus, and it's very useful to have collaborative partners in other parts of the world looking at the same material and coming back to us saying, perhaps, have you read this article, or have you thought about this perspective? So well, as you're well aware, business is completely global, and we are able to reflect that by drawing on our collaborative partnerships. Now, in terms of the programs that we offer, these are what we call the single honours programs, meaning that the main focus is business. Now, there will be business with other business related aspects, but they are all business. Joint honours, which I'm going to mention in a moment, is just half business and half of another discipline. So these are the single honours business programmes. Now we have a suite of business management degrees, BA Business Management being the overarching umbrella programme, if you like. But from that, we can specialise in either human resource management, marketing, international business, finance, or enterprise. We also run a business studies programme, a much smaller programme, and explain the differences about that. As you'll see down the right hand side of the slide, we've got various logos. Now these are professional bodies. I did mention earlier that we go for maximum accreditation for professional bodies. Every one of the programmes that you see there is a dual accredited degree from the CMI, the Chartered Management Institute. The HRM programme has also got accreditation from the CIPD, which is the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. If you want any sort of career in HR in the future, you have to have a CIPD accreditation. So rather than finish a degree and then have to go off and do that, we've built that into the programme so you get that at the same time. The Chartered Institute of Marketing grants us gateway status for our business management, marketing and international business degree. And the business management brackets finance has got 5 exemptions from the CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountancy. So if you want to eventually become an accountant and join the CIMA professional body, it would actually save you doing 15 exams. You've actually already got accreditation for 5 of those. So we've worked very hard to get the maximum accreditation there. All of these degrees also have a foundation year. So if you don't quite meet the entry requirements, you can spend an extra year just getting yourself up to speed, maybe getting your study skills, English, maths, qualifications, whatever. We strongly encourage you to do a placement year between years 2 and 3 because that greatly enhances your employability. And the business management itself is available just as a top-up. So we have students from all over the world often coming to us who studied the first 2 years elsewhere, and then they come and do the final year with us. Joint honours is where you only do half of the degree on a business basis. The other half is from another discipline. So you might, for example, choose to do business management and property development, or human resource management and psychology, or entrepreneurship and creative writing. So a joint honours means you're studying half your time in the business area, half your time in another area, which could be in a completely different school. Now, I mentioned the fact that all degrees have got the CMI accreditation. Now, the Chartered Management Institute is the only management body which has got the Royal Charter. There are a number of management bodies, but this is the only one with the Royal Charter. We are a strategic partner of the Chartered Management Institute, have been for a number of years, and we have pioneered a lot of their developments. We were one of the very first degrees in the country to gain dual accreditation. Now, what that means is when you join any of our business management or business studies degree, we pay for you to become an associate member of the Chartered Management Institute. It doesn't go on your fees, we pay the fee. You stay as an associate member for the duration of your degree and for a year thereafter. That gives you access to all the wonderful CMI resources. They've got the largest business library in Europe. You've got access to all of those. Superb business videos, leadership videos, networking events, etc., conferences that you can go along to. You are also able to get a CMI mentor. Now, that is nothing to do with the university. That will be a fellow or a chartered manager of the CMI, a senior business leader who wants to put something back into the community. They're prepared to act as a mentor, so our students will go onto the site, put the sort of things that they're interested in. Suggestions will come up for a mentor, and then the two of them will pair up, have conversations, virtually always online, and these people can act as really good outside advisors to the student in their career, perhaps putting them in touch with friends of theirs or something who work in the area that they're interested in. So that's been extremely useful. Now, dual accreditation means that not only do you leave the university with a very good honours degree, but you will also leave with a CMI qualification, with a professional qualification. You don't have to do any extra work for that because we have matched our degree against the CMI qualifications. Any of the business management degrees have been matched against the level 5 diploma in management and leadership. So by finishing the business management degree, you will also get a CMI level 5 professional diploma. The business studies degree entitles you to a certificate in management and leadership. Now, I'm sorry to tell you this, but having a degree alone is not going to usually be enough to get yourself a wonderful graduate job. Employers look for a lot more these days. And this is why, one of the reasons why we have gone for this maximum professional accreditation, because you can go along to an employer and say, not only am I a graduate from one of the top ranked courses in the country, I have also got this professional qualification. And you can also then reel off all the events that you've been to, networking events that you've been to, experience you've had talking to your mentor and such like. Now, on this slide, you can see some research that the CMI have done themselves into how being a student on a CMI accredited degree greatly boosts your future chances. You see their sort of headline rate is that it increases employability by over 10%, which is obviously a wonderful thing to have. And remember that you're not doing any extra work for this and it isn't costing you anything. We do that. What you're doing is you're walking away with having had the benefit of all this CMI input with an extra qualification, extra professional qualification, and this great boost to your employability. We've seen that ourselves with our own students, because some of our students just lately who've really embraced the CMI fully in terms of going into conferences, etc., have found that they have landed wonderful jobs. One was recently appointed for Ernst & Young, for example, and one of the things that they said was that they were really, really impressed with all the extra things that she'd done via CMI. The business management suite of degrees all study the same first year. Now, we've done this quite deliberately because what we've built in is, in effect, deferred choice. So by studying the same first year, whether you're doing a business management HR, business management marketing degree, it gives you a year to get used to our style. It gives you time to see what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy. You don't miss out on anything because we make sure you're covering all major business areas. But what that means is at the end of the first year, let's say, for example, you had enrolled on business management brackets marketing, but having studied the first year, you actually realised that what you really enjoyed was human resource management or finance, then we literally sign a form and you can move instead to the specialisms. So from year 2 onwards, you can either choose to stay on the business management course, in which case you do 4 core modules and 2 option modules, and those option modules can be chosen from enterprise finance, HR, marketing, logistics, or you can specialise in HR, marketing, enterprise finance, or international business. If you do the specialism, then the 2 option modules become subject-specific modules, so either HR or marketing, etc. The HR degree has got the CIPD accreditation, as I said, so clearly that will be geared towards that. The finance degree gets the CMA accreditation, and the marketing and international business have got this graduate gateway. Business Studies is a much smaller course. It does the same first year as business management, but this is more traditional course. It has a final year dissertation, whereas the business management course actually has a business consultancy project based around a live organisation. So this is a more traditional academic course with a final year dissertation and research methods module in the second year. So thank you for listening. If you've got any queries, we've got email and telephone numbers there. Hope you've really enjoyed this, and we hope that we'll see you in Derby soon. Thank you.